Hello, everyone, and welcome to the June edition of our Microsoft Teams news show. I'm Rob Scott from UC Today, and we're joined by Tom Arbuthnot from Empowering Cloud and a panel of experts from the wider Microsoft Teams ecosystem. So welcome, everybody. And Tom, how's it going with you?
Yeah, it's good, thanks. Yeah, as we speak, I'm just off the back of a nice week's holiday away, so I'm refreshed and ready for the next onslaught of news, including a bunch of devices stuff coming from Infocom, which we're going to talk about later. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's let's dive in. It's been a busy few weeks. Microsoft Build's just been just wrapped up, and as expected, there was plenty of big announcements, especially in the Microsoft 365 domain. So one of the biggest talking points, as you'd expect, was Copilot. It's really dominating the conversation still across the board. Tom, what were some of your biggest updates and takeaways from the Build event?
Yeah, so Build is a developer conference, so it's primarily aimed at the developer audience. But obviously, AI is spanning the M365 enterprise product conversation and the developer conversation, and even more so than ever before, in the sense of Microsoft are encouraging people to use AI to build low code, no code workflows, agents, that kind of stuff, and all the investment in AI in the Azure models and OpenAI and all the other models is obviously coming through to M365 as well. So there's quite a lot to take away, even if you just care about enterprise and product. Some of the things that were notable was they talked about Copilot tuning. So that's the ability to take the models and tune them further with your own enterprise data. So essentially kind of customize and tune the models to specific use cases or specific line of business use cases. So imagine you're a legal firm and you do a lot of certain types of documents. You can tune it up on your particular style, give it examples of your flow. That was a big one. The biggest one for me was Microsoft fully throwing their weight behind MCP, which is Model Context Protocol, which is, again, a bit gibberishy, but essentially it's this kind of new standard. Initially, Anthropic came up with it, OpenAI backed it, Microsoft have now backed it, and it's a model to put a wrapper around APIs to make it easy for AI agents to integrate and leverage those APIs. And it's been the talk of the AI space for a couple of months now, and now Copilot is going to support that model, meaning we can plug our third-party line of business apps into Copilot and agent scenarios. And as you'd expect, it was all very much agent, multi-agent, agents working with agents. Like, they must have said agent about 1 billion times, but all that stuff is coming into the enterprise space as well.
Yeah, Tom, I thought huge, kind of game-changing, particularly the multi-agent orchestration side that was announced. So I think this has been long anticipated and kind of one of the big kind of missing links. But I think today, if you were to build an agent and you loaded one single agent up with all these responsibilities, and was kind of a single agent responsible for tons of tasks, and it just can't reason kind of that way. It's kind of similar to an employee. You can't have one employee just doing everything, and so they're much more efficient if you can create agents that have very specific defined sets of knowledge and tools and responsibilities. And so the idea that you can tie these agents together and one agent can hand off to the other based on their kind of focused area of expertise is huge. And so they announced this multi-agent orchestration, both with other agents that you create in Copilot Studio, but also they could be a Copilot Studio agent to an Azure AI Foundry agent or a Microsoft Fabric agent, or even something outside of the low code world, like an M365 SDK kind of agent. And so this is using the A2A, or the agent-to-agent protocol that to communicate, and soon that protocol will also allow you to kind of go out beyond this ecosystem kind of into the external agents. So yeah, super huge. And I think as you said, the Copilot tuning side also really big. I think just examples of this, if you could imagine wanting an agent to become aware of our style guides, or want the agent to be able to learn things that based on what it generates in the future in terms of its output. So yeah, huge step forward in both of these kind of realms, and yeah, super excited about it.
Yeah, it's really nice to see Microsoft, and partly because of the huge investment in OpenAI and what OpenAI are doing, backing the open standards and the interop. And obviously with Azure AI Foundry, as you said, you've got all the models there. So it's not like this is just buy the $30 Copilot thing and do the thing.
Yeah, even Grok. Yeah.
Yeah. They had Elon on the stage, which was interesting. So whichever model you prefer, building line of business, either in kind of low code in Copilot Studio or full on Cody in Azure. And as you said, mixing and matching those scenarios. We're really on the verge of, I think the marketing is obviously ahead of the reality. It always is. But for line of business scenarios, you've got some real flexibility to say, actually, go grab this data, check this thing, do that thing. And you say, have an agent that has each of those skills to put the output out at the end of the workflow.
So let's talk about some of the latest collaboration features also. So there's also been a few smaller but useful updates, I suppose, like threaded replies in channel messages, easier external file sharing without needing a OneDrive link, and of course more AI features being baked into Teams all the time, Tom. So take us through some of these updates. So they were quite interesting.
Yeah, some really good Teams updates, actually. There's just been slowly ticking a bunch of things into the roadmap. So yeah, two things on the collab side that really will make a big difference. One is, as you said there, channel messages thread. So you reply. Very often what happens is the fourth reply down, you want to break that out into its own conversation because that's a slightly different topic but warrants a thread. So soon, coming June, we'll have the ability to kind of do a special click and reply that will break that out into its own channel thread, which is just a nice touch. And then another one is sharing files in chats with external participants. So we do this a lot at Empowering Cloud. We're all often talking to customers, things like this. We have a prep call where we're all in a federated chat. Right now, you can't drag and drop a file into that chat. And it's a bit of a jarring experience because you can do that in meetings and you can do that internally. And real users don't have a clue, and why should they, that this is a different type of chat. So this will smooth up that experience and allow you to share files during that chat. I'm imagining it's going to use some kind of OneDrive type workflow. So end up sharing a OneDrive link, but just doing that automatically rather than what you have to do at the moment, which is teach the user to go generate a share link and paste that into the chat. Lots of conversations in enterprises around this, it's another way to share files. So security, compliance, can I turn it off? All that good stuff. This is not coming till July, so we'll keep an eye on exactly how that looks and rolls out over the coming months.
Cool. Well, I like the sound of that. But let's zoom a little bit into Copilot and Teams. Microsoft recently announced some more enhancements and updates, intelligent recap, interactive agents, and AI-powered audio summaries. It all sounds very interesting, Tom. Tell us a little bit more about these updates.
Yeah, so intelligent recap, this is a big one for me. This is intelligent recap scraping and absorbing screen content. So right now, there's kind of a gap in intelligent recap, which is it gathers the chat messages. So you get that side conversation, which is great. We didn't used to have that, so that gap closed. You obviously get the audio and the transcript. And if you're all on Teams endpoints, it knows who said what. If you're in rooms with the intelligent speaker stuff, provided you've all enrolled your voice and all that good stuff, it knows who said what. But very often in meetings, we're sharing decks and content and tables. And obviously, we see that as we're collaborating. But in the summary, there's no reference to that because right now, the AI doesn't see the screen have any context. So with this update, the AI will also be consuming the screen content and will bring that into the summary, which is a really big deal because it's been blind to that content up to now. So I'm really excited for that.
I'm very excited for that feature as well. How intelligent? I mean, that sounds like it's getting into super intelligence. But in terms of when that's available, and are you going to need to be a Teams Premium license holder? How's that work?
Yeah, so Intelligent Recap is part of Teams Premium or part of the Copilot license. So yes, you will need that to get that extra capability. And again, it's everything in the AI is either Premium or Copilot these days, pretty much. Two other ones on the AI front. So one is interactive agents being able to get involved in calls and meetings in real time. So this is another thing where we've been talking a big game about agents for a while, but actually one of the most interesting scenarios is having them during a meeting or during a call to either help the caller or to collaborate with you in real time in the meeting. The first thing we saw in meetings was Facilitator, which is obviously Microsoft's first party meeting summary agent, but this will allow people to bring third-party and line of business agents into those meeting and call scenarios and have them interactive during those scenarios. And last one that I think is worth a call out is essentially think of it as a Notebook LM for your meetings, which is being able to tick one or more summaries of Teams meetings and have it generate an AI audio summary of those meetings. So imagine you missed 3 meetings yesterday, tick, 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 generate, and I've got a 5-10 minute summary of what happened in the meeting, who said what. I think this is a real nice step forward, certainly something I will use, where I've got my drive time to and from the office that I could quickly catch up on a meeting that I'm never realistically going to go back and read the bullets, but I could actually just generate an audio summary and get a feel for that. And I think that's the kind of stuff that you're seeing a first generation of, is I pick the meetings and I get my summary. You can imagine it getting to the point where actually just intelligently tell me what I need to know over the meetings that happened yesterday. Like that's where it's going, is you know what my role is, you know what I'm interested in, pick out the pieces that are relevant to me and give me a summary.
What I love about that is that really does add time back into your pocket potentially, doesn't it? You know, back into your week. It's you know, you could play that back on 1.5 or 2 if you're really crazy, but you know, you could really just recap very, very quickly off the back of a meeting, which I think is great.
Yeah, and the AI is able to do some really compelling voice stuff to make it not be like, it's not like playing back text to speech and listening to bullets. It can make it feel a bit more interactive and lively, which is nice.
Good stuff. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about Teams Phone. It also continues to evolve. Updates include improving transcription features, call waiting announcements, and enhancements even, and new management tools in the Teams Admin Center. Tom, and we've also got some things happening around operators for Teams Phone Mobile. Tell us more on this.
Yeah, so Phone continues to get investment. It's not really the center of the universe in the Microsoft conversation anymore, so much as, you know, Rooms is obviously a big deal, Premium is a big deal, AI is obviously the biggest deal, but Phone is still plugging along with some really interesting features, and the Phone team are starting to look at where they bring AI into the phone conversation as well. So one of the first ones is being able to use Copilot interactively during a call without having to transcribe and record the call. So some industries, some customers don't want transcriptions or don't want recordings, but they've got the Copilot license and they're super happy with, during the call, actually, you can say, oh, what's been said so far? What question should I ask? So essentially, this is a transient transcription that lasts for the session of the call and then disappears. So it solves that problem if we don't do transcripts or we don't do recording, and they still get some of the AI goodness. Funny one for me, call waiting beep in your ear. So it's 2025 and finally we're getting call waiting beep. I'm not sure who's asking for it, but clearly enough seats are that it's hit the top of the backlog. So this will be, for those not familiar, it's a very old school feature where if you're on a physical phone and a second call comes in, it will pip in your ear to let you know the phone call is coming in. So most of us that are sat at laptops or desktops, we can see the toast, but in a scenario where you don't have a toast, it gives you an audible indicator to tell you that another call is coming in.
That's great. Another notification and distraction.
Yeah. It's definitely not going on. It's definitely not going on in my tenant. Super distracting. I imagine it will be an opt-in as opposed to an opt-out, but we'll see.
You know that somewhere a very large deal hinged on that one feature finally being brought in. So
yeah, and it's very cultural, isn't it? Like some I think Germany was the place I remember well, where they're like, actually a second call should never be allowed to come in, even on toast form, because it's distracting and disrespectful to the person you're already talking to. And then in lots of other organizations, it'll be exactly the opposite. It's like, actually, this is a casual call. If my boss rings in, I want to know so I can jump, or customer rings in, I want to jump to it.
Well, there's another feature, isn't there? Auto Connect, which I used, enable in contact centers, where the call would come in and you get a beep in the ear, and the call's there live to the agent.
just a barge, yeah.
That's it. You just connects automatically with a little beep, and I think I don't know many contact centers that still operate like that, but that was quite a popular feature at one point.
And then on the management side, Teams IP phones line key management is going to the Teams Admin Center. So being able to configure line keys on a physical IP phone, again, not the biggest thing for a lot of people, but for some people that are running lots of common area phones, a real missing capability to remote configure that. So that's nice. And on the operator front, we now have the third operator for Teams Phone Mobile in the UK. So particularly interesting to Rob and I in the UK, and Graham as well. We're now the country with 3 operators in play, all offering Teams Phone Mobile, which is BT, Voda, and VMO2. And it'll be interesting to see if that changes adoption. If because I can get it from multiples, I'm not locked into one if I choose to use that feature. Some price competitiveness maybe. So I've been talking to all of them and keeping a close eye on that to see if having more operators in market changes the kind of profile of Teams Phone Mobile.
So you're going to start a Teams Phone Mobile watch, Tom?
Yeah, we actually have it as part of our Operator Connect Power BI report. And it's interesting because we can see who clicks which reports. And you do see people clicking through and filtering on which is available. But there's no public numbers, but it's not, when you talk to most people about Teams Phone Mobile, not even most of our industry is aware you can have a cellular number as your Teams number. And then the ones that are, I've heard things like, well, we're interested, but we don't want to do it and be locked to one operator and not have any options, or we're not ready until we can do it in multiple countries with our operator of choice. So it feels like a bit of a slow burn in terms of adoption. And it'll be interesting to see. I know there are other operators coming as well to see if it gets to the point where actually a lot of the big operators just say, well, you're using a UCaaS, Zoom, you're using WebEx, you're using Teams, we can connect into that and offer you the phone.
I'm certainly hearing more about fixed mobile convergence in recent years, but it's all off the back of Cisco WebEx Go, Teams Mobile, and now I think Zoom's even having a flurry with that as well. But I am wondering, it's a slow burn? It's quite a specialist use case.
Yeah, it hasn't set the world on fire, has it? And it's interesting because it's different in various countries. As in, a lot of European countries, you get issued a work phone. Other countries around the world, it's more likely you're doing BYOD and you're bringing your own personal mobile and who owns the device and all that good stuff. So, but I think I'm pretty bullish that on some timeline it'll be like, well, obviously it's an option for everybody on every network. That timeline appears to be in the years, not months, by the looks of the numbers so far.
Wasn't there? Sorry, I was just going to comment with the FMC. Wasn't there a thing where it had to be a primary number as well?
Yeah, it has to be your primary business number. So, but essentially, it works well in Europe where you get issued a phone, and that is your number and also your Teams number. You can't, on a lot of the networks, to my knowledge, do bring a secondary number on an eSIM and have that be your work phone.
Good stuff. Well, let's turn to Microsoft Teams Rooms. Graham and Josh are going to take us through a few updates, especially Graham starting on Teams for Android. Graham, it's over to you.
Yeah, okay, great stuff. So, last month or middle of month, we had a new drop for Microsoft Teams Rooms on Android. So this is, again, feature parity between Windows and Android. So one of the big things is, again, that Copilot story Tom talked earlier about, things like speaker attribution, recognition. So now we can do that on Teams Rooms. So before, you used to have a special speaker puck that had 7 microphones in there. And then that would be the intelligent speaker in the room, recognizing everyone's voices. Now, Microsoft have enabled it in the cloud, so you can do it on a single channel audio, i.e. a room system. So you don't need any special equipment anymore. If you've invested, you can still use them. They still work. That's great. But now with the single channel audio, you can do it on Windows Rooms, Teams Rooms, and also BYOD rooms. So Teams Room, obviously having a pro license on the device behind you, then when people go in the room, start speaking, it will pick me up because I've recorded my voice in Teams. If you're external to the organization, obviously it doesn't recognize you. You'll be speaker 1, speaker 2, etc. Because again, all this data is stored in your tenant, all these voice profiles. And let's say Tom was in my organization and he hasn't recorded his name, he can tag his name in that conversation. So really useful for the AI meeting notes, follow-up tasks. And then that blends into Facilitator, which is on the home screen. So again, it's rolling out across rings, so you may see it, you may not see it just yet. And again, this is ad hoc scenarios. So you walk in a room, think, oh, Rob, let's go grab this room and have a quick, my laptop's died. Let's have a quick conversation. Scan the QR code on the screen, and then it opens up basically Microsoft Loop components. And the whole device is listening to you. And then when you get back to your desk, you've got the meeting notes there in your Teams chat. So really, really simple, intuitive, and, never take a notebook with you again. And a few other features such as, manual camera control. People who like to have a presenter slot, maybe, you can now fix the camera over there. So quite a good few number of updates on the Android platform. Anything else, Josh, you can think of?
Yeah, there's speaker recognition that's coming to Android finally, right? And that's been one of those areas in the constant battle of tug of war of trying to keep up between feature sets of what's available on Windows rooms versus Android rooms. The ability to identify speakers has been a Windows only choice, right? You had to go the Teams rooms out Windows route to get that. So now with Intelligent Speaker, the ability to sit there and say, oh, hey, this person is speaking and they've enrolled their voice and we know who they are. You will be able to do that very soon here in the Android world. So that's a big deal for a lot of organizations that have said we keep finding reasons we want to go the Android route, but then this little feature or that little thing trips us up. And in a world where we're taking on AI goodness faster than any of us can keep up with, baking these types of features, Intelligent Speaker, et cetera, into the everyday workflows of how you capture notes and tasks and all that stuff, it's just kind of almost table stakes at this point. So I think it's kind of beyond a big deal that it's come to Android rooms finally, and excited, obviously, to see that come to various bars that are floating out there now in the world. But yeah, lots of big updates around Android. I think it's the lines between Windows and Android options are starting to blur a little bit more. So that's a good thing.
Fantastic. Well, before we wrap up, let's look ahead. I'll be heading to InfoComm in Florida from next week. That's June 7th to 13th. Huge week for UC and collaboration. Tom, what do you think about InfoComm? What we should be expecting? Any big announcements, do you think, or real hot topics?
Yeah, I think definitely it's kind of the big devices show of the year in the US. So I've had a few briefings. I think there's some device news coming around the Teams front. I think we're going to expect some more MDEP news on the Microsoft front as well. So definitely keep your eyes open. I know Josh and Ryan, maybe Graham, you're there next week. So I'm remote, so I've been pre-prepped for a lot of them. But I'm sure there'll be some good Teams news there to keep your eyes open for.
Great stuff. Then we've got Customer Contact Week, which is all call center technology in Las Vegas. So if you're looking to integrate your Microsoft ecosystem with some kind of contact center solution, that's the place to head for. We have, so that's in Las Vegas. We have the big UK Teams event, which is Commsverse. Tom, are you heading there? Everyone else?
Yeah, super excited for that. It's probably the big event, certainly for the UK, if not some of Europe, that's super Teams focused. There's a bit more Copilot and kind of M365 in there now, kind of widening its wings a little bit. But Mark and the team are very good at keeping it really good speakers, lots of customer speakers. I've got a couple of sessions, including a customer panel all around Copilot and adoption experience and AI. That's all customer enterprise experience. So yeah, very much looking forward to that.
Fantastic. And any other events, Tom? Have I missed any? Have you got any fireside chats coming up?
Yeah. So we've got the regular fireside chat and Microsoft Teams devices, Ask Us Anything. So the fireside chat this month, which is on the 12th, is Michael and Habib, who are two very well-known MVPs, super hot on Teams and Teams Phone. They're doing a session on Teams Facilitator Agent and generally how AI works in Teams. Very real-world hands-on perspective from them. So looking forward to that. And we have the usual Microsoft Teams devices, Ask Us Anything, headed up by Graham and various other community contributors, where we were going to go deep on the devices news, and that'll be off the back of InfoComm as well. So really good timing that we'll have all the devices news in that, and that's an online session that has both a Europe-US time zone option and an APAC time zone option.
Great. So we've got a real flurry of events coming up, some fantastic opportunities to get out there and see each other in person. There is one event I should just plug, which is the UC Awards. So whether you're a vendor or...
You can't give yourself an award, Rob. That's not how this works.
If you want to win one of these, you've got till June 20th to apply. But you've got to be a vendor or service provider for the most part. But do have a look at uctoday.com. You will see the ultimate guide to UC Awards and how to win one on the homepage, and we look forward to hearing all about your latest innovations. But that's it for this month's Microsoft Teams News Show. Huge thanks to Tom and the rest of the panel for your insights. It's always great to have you on the show. If you found this update valuable, don't forget to like, share, or even comment. We really appreciate your support. So we'll be back next month with more Teams news, ecosystem updates, and stories shaping the future of workplace collaboration. So I'm Rob Scott from UC Today. Thanks for watching.